Thank you. I made sure I was freshly shaved and I am ready to go. Oh yeah, I know. The prom queen. I made the joke. It was like that Freddie Prinze Jr. Movie. What is it? She's All That or something like that. It's like it was always her. She just needed to let her hair down and take the glasses off, and she was always the prom. It's so not, I don't know, Mel. It's so stupid. I had Rich Barris on the show not too long ago because I had to ask him the same question. I said, I know, and I think everybody in your audience. There's an eternal, energetic gut resonance that we are tapped into that we can just know. All right, this is nonsense. Right. But can you please make sense of this? Every time I read, and I don't even go to the Drudge Report anymore. But the last couple of weeks I've been going there just because it's just so crazy to see what it used to be to what it is now. Like every time you reload the page, Kamala's goes up from 50% to 51. Last night when I went to bed, it was 53% Kamala. I said, what? So he pretty much, aside from the oversampling that's going on, there is a little bit, I have to imagine, I said, I understand that they bus people in. I understand that they pay people to be places. I understand that they've got the Katzenbergs and the Spielbergs, and they've got the networks that the CNN cutting room floor is how they created the Joe Biden campaign of 2020. Right. So all those same magicians are at work over here too. But there is definitely an organic presence for Kamala that wasn't there for Joe Biden, and I think it is mostly rooted in relief that they no longer have to pretend that Joe Biden is a successful, healthy, capable person. And they're just like, oh, finally, someone who's not ready for hospice care. And I just think, I really think that's what it's all, that whatever is there for however long it lasts, because, you saw that one thing, it was like last week she was somewhere and there was a Palestinian protester there and she got all, and she like, you should, I'm speaking, like she started getting all snippy and everybody's like, oh, she shouldn't have done that. This is why that she's universally reviled, right? Like this is her all the time. This is not just a momentary lapse. So my big question is, how long does it last? I don't know. Maybe you have some idea. Yeah, well, the company has their figureheads. They always do. I mean, Joe Biden was already a disabled, very severely disabled man going into that stillbirth of an inauguration in 2021. That's exactly that's what his presidency has been. It's been a stillbirth. Yep. And watching that, it's like, okay, well, obviously we know that there are very specially vested interests that are really running the show. So as far as this whole nonsense with Kamala Harris goes, to switch her out and the fact that we haven't spoken since the assassination attempt, and the fact that this should be like maybe the end of the 3 to 4 week honeymoon period that Trump should have had after his near martyrdom.
Exactly.
And the fact that they were like, no, quick. But again, in the same week, and I brought it up again last night because if we don't bring it up, it'll literally disappear. The fact that they have everybody it never even happened. That they have their predictive chat bots in the country denying that there was even an assassination attempt, that was only half of the story. That within a 7-day period, they had a failed assassination and a successful coup.
Yeah.
And for 3 weeks, it's just been act as if, be loud, squeaky, and confident, and forget the other guy, just call them weird. It's been high school mind games, which is what makes it so like fire in your skull infuriating, because you know it's all bullshit. And I don't even know what the hell I was just about. Oh, and then of course, other thing, you want to talk about mind games. You're talking about throwing these people, these completely inadequate people onto the world stage, especially in such a hotbed of potential war.
Right.
You had to have seen Joe Biden make that address the other day, saying that he's the first president in the new millennium that can make the announcement that we are not engaged in war anywhere. I mean, I can't imagine that even the most true blue, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat even heard that and said, "Wait a second, what was the hundreds of billions of dollars that is still flowing into Ukraine all about? What is that?"
Right.
Seriously, that we're giving them, we just gave them jets last week.
Right.
We're training people how to use them. We're probably in the jets ourselves.
Yeah.
What the lying and the deceit. I think that many of the people who wanted it to succeed were at the RNC 2 days later.
I do too.
I really do think I said that on my show with a couple of other initial thoughts that I had about things. Especially then, over the course of the couple of days afterwards, I was saying to myself, I wouldn't be surprised if his attempted assassination was part of a plan to then eliminate Joe Biden violently.
I said the same thing.
Because one person, obviously, he gets set up to be killed. You can only have the system coalesce around one perfectly set up situation there so that a shot could be taken. It was definitely, this kid is a ghost.
As usual,
What 20-year-old kid has a completely encrypted life? Not just an encrypted phone, but you can't find anything about him save for a couple of politically confused posts on Gab or whatever, and a brief appearance in a BlackRock commercial. It's very strange for a 20-year-old to have that kind of a social media imprint. Nothing at all. So, there's that. And so I said, this would be really, really diabolical, but within the grounds of their psyche to kill Donald Trump. And then, because we are who we are, I still would not believe that anybody would go out there and even violently protest at that point. What I think what would happen then is the same people who killed Trump were going to then take out Joe Biden, blame it on a Trump guy. They have both of the people who are giving them the most headache out of the way.
Yep.
And then they also have people who will hate each other even more at the bottom, maybe a martial law situation, whatever the hell it is. I said, I maybe, who knows? I said, everybody keeps talking about that half inch. If you could probably put onto paper some of the things that we avoided. I think about Ukraine, and I brought this up in the past on my show as well. I think about Ukraine. Why is Vladimir Putin being so careful out there? Why is this become a 2.5-year stalemate? What is he waiting for? Is he holding out hope that there is going to be a truly peace-minded American president come January of 2025? Because if Donald Trump had his head blown off and all of the possibilities of that actually coming to be were gone, would he be steamrolling Kiev right now? Because there's nothing holding Russia back from winning. But he's actually shown resolve into not wanting to kill civilians. Yep. So I started thinking about that. I said, would we be in a thermonuclear war right now if Trump had gotten killed? Yeah. I mean, there's so many things unseen that we can't even account for. And of course, it all comes down to what you're saying. There is a complete lack. There's a complete devaluation of human life. Yep. We see it. We have seen it when we talk about the abortion issue, all the Planned Parenthood videos of young girls laughing about the dollar signs that they see on every small child's organs. I mean, that kind of thing, if you can bring yourself to accept that kind of thing, and if you can bring yourself to accept the mutilation and sterilization of children that are already here, there is really nothing that you won't accept, that human life is cheap. And whatever the hell, like Stephen Colbert, that embarrassing situation with Caitlin Collins this week, where he unironically told her that, well, we know that CNN is objective and just presents the facts, and a liberal audience laughed because they know deep down inside this is not objective. Objectivity would kill us. Yeah, objective. They have to live in this deconstructed, subjective world, or else they disappear. The construct of everything is gone. So you're very, very astute in putting that at the center of all this. There is a vicious dehumanization and devaluation of human life, and they don't care what the hell they have to do to recreate the world into such an ugly version too.
Right. Right. It's exactly true.
It's ugly. People always talk about, well, we need to bring multiculturalism to Europe and America. I was like, there was nothing more multicultural than Europe. Yeah, I saw that announcement the other day. I said, oh my gosh, Unbelievable. And it's also why I've spent so much time watching what's going on in the UK as well.
Oh, God.
I mean, this was always inevitable. And obviously, Europe is a little bit farther down the road than we are. So there's been and when you talk about tens of millions of people just in the last couple of years who have arrived, where before Trump's arrival, we were already under the working assumption that there was at least 50 to 60 million people here, 80 maybe, that shouldn't be in the country, that have maybe been here for a couple of generations now, but just they're just ghosts. And, some people say, oh, well, they are citizens because they pay sales tax on every Snickers bar that they buy. It's like, oh, please, get the hell out of here. But anyway, I think about that, just saying, all right, well, I understand that, the UK and Europe has a more specific North African, Middle Eastern problem, but we have over 100 countries worth of people that have come here that we don't know about, that we have several nations standing armies worth of military-aged men that have just shown up and been bussed into the center of the country and disappeared. And what the hell, what is that? Is it really people looking for dishwasher jobs, or are they waiting for orders? Like, we have no clue what the hell, what bed has been made for us. We just don't know. And that's why it's very fascinating to watch the UK, and also to watch how the government is positioning itself when these very predictable backlashes, and people just realizing that this is not xenophobia or racism like they try to say in any of that stuff. It is instinctual, maybe irrational response, but it's not. It's instinctual. And when I say irrational, I mean the lowest form of communication is a fist fight. Right. But at this point, there's nothing left. You can't reason with rabies, and this is what we've been given. So I often wonder. We opened up with Kamala Harris. I will be voting in November. There's only one person to vote for. All the philosophical crap is out the window. We're just not that kind of a country anymore. If you want to get a little bit more nuanced about your politics and all that stuff, do it locally, where the only way that you can actually go. But if you're going to vote at all, I mean, we're just trying to vote for like some wind resistance on the way down as we crack the sea. Because I'll always say it, Washington, D.C. is irreparable.
I agree.
It's irreparable. And we have to understand that stuff. And at the other hand there too is, whereas we know that we have organic majorities, we have beating hearts, we have minds, we have that stuff, they've got an infrastructure that negates that, and they've used it before. They're going to use it I mean, this is what all the fake polls are about. It's creating predicate and an alibi for, well, she was leading the whole time. She just had fate on her side. She had destiny on her side. Of course she won. Everybody else, stop with the big lie again, even though Democrats have now experienced their third presidential primary season in a row where they were not allowed to pick who their candidate was. So they continually have all of their elections rigged, but everything else, it's okay because they love the party so much. As long as they win, they don't care who the hell they have forced down their throat. Right. And so I always say, vote, understand the ley lines of the world and how it's all stacked against us. Take care of yourself, your family, keep your friendships close, just prepare. And also prepare for the fact that we may have to live through President Kamala Harris being inaugurated. Oh, I mean, do not discount that. Just because we know that we are, if all things were fair and equal, we would run away with this race with maybe 49 states. Right. Despite that, you have got to prepare your soul for that, because a lot of people were not prepared for what we have right now.
No. Right.
Yeah. I know. That's why I don't know. I'm fine with everybody's choices, but when I look at things practically or pragmatically, like when Kyle Rittenhouse got himself into a little bit of hot water on Twitter the other, I was like, okay, man, you made a very naive statement in public that was at the inappropriate time. Tell people in February of 2025 how much you have been looking into Ron Paul. That's great, because Ron Paul is somebody that everybody should study. As far as the big picture goes, learning about what was intended to be here, so you could actually identify what is wrong And then, of course, on top of that, start placing motive as to why things are.
Right.
So, for example, with how limited our federal government was designed to be, now when you say, I would like to get rid of the Department of Education, people look, oh, are you against the children? I said, you are just a dumb alien. You're just a space alien, and stop talking to me. You have no clue what the hell's going on. But solutions based, what is it? Well, we can talk about basic market economic, principles like supply and demand. On Monday, I'm going to have my economic professor from Marshall University friend, Dr. Robin McCutcheon. If you ever want to talk to her, you guys would do great together.
Yeah, I would love it.
She comes on every once in a while when I want to jump into jobs reports and everything else. And I wanted to show her, hey, give me your report card as a professor in college about what these market controls, these price controls that Kamala Harris, that's her economic plan, would be. Because, it's good to know how supply and demand, the very, very basic elements of how an economy works, which is all based on human behavior. Okay. And what the controllers love to do is to try to pretend like they have an answer for the innumerable variations of behavioral stimuli. Whatever is going to makes you, Mel, want to do one thing or another with your life. Is infinitely different from somebody else. And what these people always try to do is assume perfect knowledge over something you cannot possibly comprehend because it's so complex. Every one person is so complex. Yeah. And to understand that is good because then you understand why things go wrong and you don't fall for all the nonsense about, well, it's because Republicans didn't vote for this or Democrats torpedoed this bill. It's like, no, we don't need you. You guys have to leave. You have to leave. We need less of all of you. Yeah. But it also makes you start thinking, okay, I'm not going to get through. We have been completely taken over by a psychotic group of murderers and thieves. And I've got to start looking at something that is very real and is actually the most human thing that we can control. That's ourselves. And that is, staying peaceful inside yourself somehow. And then, trying to draw people that you love closer again, because we're being driven apart. I mean, life is so damn short. I mean, I hate talking. Some people are like, oh, no, that's not a real solution. Tell us about what we're going to do legislatively. There's nothing we can do. Yeah. And when I say there's nothing we can do, I'm talking about the individuals being able to affect what the machine in Washington, D.C. is programmed to do at this point. That is a machine, as we all know, that has been built to resist our consent, our vote, our will. It's been built to resist us and to go on doing whatever the hell it wants to do, even to the point where they're willing to kill. I thought that they would never try it again after JFK because there's just too many people standing around with cell phones. Just one guy, Abraham Zapruder, blew up the entire official story from 1963. And now you got thousands of people who are just like, oh yeah, now that I look at it, there's the shooter on the roof. You could see it from every angle here, and they did it. Yeah. So I was, but you're right. As far as what we can do, it's the most important thing, because what do people lose when they become an appendage of a political party? They usually lose their humanity. We were just talking about it a couple of minutes ago. Anybody that can sit down and cheerlead for abortion and be antagonistic about the destroying of the unborn's life, to dismember a child, if they can cheerlead a 12-year-old boy being chemically sterilized and castrated and being put in a wig and blush to pretend that they're something they're never going to be, never was, and people are applaud that. When they have Michael Strahan bringing drugged up 9-year-old drag queens onto television, when you attach yourself to a party, especially like that, you lose. There's no joy there. That is a macabre, circus, fun house, horrible. It's a slaughterhouse. Yeah. And you actually have to resist every human urge that you have to align yourself with something that is good and true and is eternal.
Yeah.
And if we don't have those individual alignments yet, I mean, from there is where we're going to be able to find the will to do some of the more dirty things that may have to get done one day. I don't know what the hell that is. I mean, UK, they're already starting to have to physically fight for their lives. And I've been reading a lot about even the Crusades lately. I want to, I can't imagine. Restitution.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's necessary.
Truth and Reconciliation Committee.
Well, as far as reconciliation, I mean, I know that term national divorce. I mean, I remember saying something like that years and years ago before it became a trending topic. And it's really just about a restoration.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about something that we can now, what you were just talking about, being sick is our secrets, which is a really great way. That's a great chapter title right there. There's got to be some kind of accountability.
Yeah.
We can't go through even the last 25 years and adjudicate everything, because we would again, I hate to go there, but the reality is, if we're going to make the worst criminals in the world pay the appropriate price for what they have done, then people are going to have to say, to hell with the rules for a little bit. We'll have another constitutional convention in about 20 years, and we literally have to go to war. And I mean, that's just the way it is. Our governments and the government behind our government, especially, that really does all the walking and the talking. It's the darkest of evil that you could conceive of. Now, the one thing that we can do, and just hold on to our nuts and go along for the ride, that whole national divorce thing, it's not as civil war-y as you think, because most people are not even talking about secession, which is what the Civil War was all about, the question of secession. What we have to start talking about is restoration of appropriate constitutional relationships.
Right.
If we actually had 35 states of this union whose state governments went feverishly to work on how they can get even on their state budgets, get rid of every last federal dollar that's coming in, to regain their autonomy and start negating and nullifying everything, save for whatever is constitutionally appropriate on international trade, on national defense. And even then, we have a federal government that has completely shirked its duties on national defense, which when they do that, it falls back onto us. Right. We have all the authority on that too. That's what I would really love. I would love to see everybody BTFO Washington, D.C.
Me too.
I would love to see it, because it would be like one of the great, it would be such a more satisfying, but it would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
That's so much more, that's the only thing that we can talk about as far as feasibility. That's a lot more feasible than going in there and washing through the Congress and then, legislatively restoring the Republic, because it's not even really about
that's not good. Yeah.
It's the culture too. We would have to really contend with the people that we live around that actually don't know what the United States is.
Yeah.
They don't know what the United States is. It's just what America. That's un-American. What does the average leftist mean when they say something is un-American? Like when you go on Twitter or something and you see on leftist Twitter, they are accusing somebody else of treason. I always think that is hilarious.
I know.
What country are we betraying? Can you show me what country we're betraying? Right. I can't even believe that these people still swear allegiance to the Constitution every 2 years before they get their first checks. Well, because if you know that you're not going to be coming, then I just want to get you on the schedule just as a Zoom guest. But if I can get you in the room, then that's always like my top. What I would prefer. But anyway, if you're interested in hanging out with me any night of the week, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. except tonight, I'm taking a summer Friday. Mel is my last media spot of the day.
Great.
I'm Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. quitefrankly.tv. That everything you need to know about the show is there. You can watch it there, or you can watch us live on Rumble and YouTube for some reason while I'm still there, and Twitch and D Live, all over the place. But quitefrankly.tv, weeknights at 7 p.m. And I'd love to have you guys. It's a very audience-driven call-in kind of show. I love taking calls, so be a part of it, please.